All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are not back. This is the first edition of, I guess they've called it the LiucciCast with Sean Porter. And the reason why is because Sean and I are going to be here every week. Kendrick's going to be here as much as we can. So we're going to try to have this group plus one or two more, sometimes both, sometimes one, 4 or 5 of us every week to talk the game that was, where the Aggies are at in the season. Not only that, but also college football in general, the SEC, and hopefully some old stories and some fun stuff, comparisons to different eras. So if any of you guys, former players watching, I know Sean and I have been talking, and we've been getting a really nice response when people have heard that we're doing this. We're going to try to record every Tuesday. So if any of you guys are in town or you're in Houston or in Austin, somewhere close, and decide you want to drive up and be on, just hit one of the two of us up, and we'll try to get you on. We got about 14 of these, I guess, if we're going to do them every week, including some buys. So no buy this week. It was Texas A&M, Notre Dame. By the way, we're sponsored over here by our good friends at Aggieland Chevrolet.
Lovely ride.
Thank you, Seth. It's outside right now in the rain. It handled very well. So let's get into this, man. Notre Dame 23, A&M 13. Disappointing opening result. Obviously, that stadium was ready for a big win. I think Mike Elko and his team were ready for a big win. Ran into a really good football team. Notre Dame's now number 5 in the country. USC maybe caught my attention this weekend as far as teams on their schedule. But that's a team that, for whatever they are, probably going to a playoff. And it's a mixed bag for me personally because you're tied in the first game under a new head coach. And we can go through the first games under head coaches. You're tied in the first game under a new head coach with, essentially 2 minutes left in the game. You come up just short. That's fine. That could go either way. We know that. First start off with what were some of the good things you guys saw? What were some of the things that you're just like concerned about moving forward?
I guess I started off just talking about the defense a little bit. The biggest thing I saw on defense is that this really was a decent game for us, right? It wasn't a terrible game for us. At the end of the day, we came away 2 out of 12 on third downs.
Yeah.
Most of the time, you do a team like that, man, you're winning that game, walking away easy winning that game, right? I saw another team having some stats like that on third down, Florida State over the weekend, and you see what's happening to them over the last couple of weekends, right?
Totally.
So I think we played pretty decent on defense. I think the thing that we were lacking on defense this weekend was the explosive defensive plays. I don't think we were coming up with forced fumbles. We weren't coming up with interceptions. We weren't making those big pop plays that we all expected this week. Right, and I really expected a lot of sacks, a lot of forced fumbles, a lot of big pop plays because I thought that our defensive line this week would be so much more dominant than that young Notre Dame offensive line full of freshmen and sophomores. We got Shamar Turner, Shamar Stewart. We got Big Hicks in the middle. Yeah. We got Scouton on the edge now. So I just really expected a lot more out of those guys, and I hope that they can just rev up the engine and get it going this season.
Yeah, that was a mixed bag for me too. I kind of understand the no sacks a little bit. When I'm rewatching the game, it's like they killed the Aggies on 2nd and long. That was the weirdest anomaly. If you go back and look, they killed A&M on 2nd and long, and you're a receiver. I thought at times the new, he had a new situation in the secondary. I was at times impressed with the DBs, but I felt like on 2nd and long, a lot of times they were laying too far off, and you're a wideout. It seemed like there was too many easy, quick catch and throws. And that 2nd down kept Notre Dame from being like way behind the chains where you could just tee off and get sacks. Did you see it kind of a little too easy for those receivers? And I'm really talking on the perimeter.
I felt like they're conservative when they needed to be aggressive, but I'm still going to give them credit. They still played a great game.
They did.
The DBs played good. The linebackers did good. Overall, it was a good game for the defense, but I feel like we can get more pressure on the receivers as far as the corners.
Yeah. I'm with you. You talk about a big play. And so close there, when one of the guys that really impressed me, Will Lee, number 26, jumped that route. And, that could have been the play you're talking about. It could have been that close. It would have been a pick 6. But I looked at those stats. I was shocked that as the game went on, that Notre Dame ran for 200 yards. I Then I looked, and they had like 34 carries. 100 of those 200 yards came on 3 plays. The 2 touchdowns, and then there was like a 25-yard run in there. So like you said,
They're about 3 yards every other run?
Yeah, and not just on 30 runs, So I think you're right. Like, if you go back and look, I'm sure there's a hell of a lot of good to look at, and a lot more good than bad, right?
Right. And another thing in defense of our defense, on this last, for this loss, it was like 13-13, 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter, right? I know from playing defense for a long time, anytime you're playing in a big game, your first thought is, we got to hold these guys to less than 21.
Yeah.
And we need our offense to come on with it and get that, get up there, right? Mm-hmm. So if we have a really good game, we might have them at 14 going into the fourth. If we, slack a little bit, we might have them at 21 going into the fourth.
Yeah.
But as long as we can keep it right in there, our offense should be good enough to go ahead and bring it home. So from those parameters, those guys played a pretty solid game.
And then you go to the one long run that we were watching in there just a second ago. It was frustrating to see basically 10 out of the 11 guys doing their job. Mm-hmm. And then there was one misfit of a linebacker, and it goes for a touchdown. No one's talking about that. But if you look at the penetration that the defensive line got on that play, they did a great job. They stubbed, like there was a guard or tackle pulling. He ran into his own guy because he was getting blown back into the offensive backfield. And usually on defense, you're like, 10 guys can make an error, but it's that one guy getting a sack, and it's a great play. No one talks about the error. But that's that one time where on defense, a guy makes one fit wrong, and then boom, touchdown.
Yeah, you're talking about the 47-yarder, I guess.
I don't remember which one
where
it
it
was.
squeaked through the
It looked like it should have been a no gain,
Mm-hmm.
and he ends up scoring a touchdown.
Yeah, and look, 3 of those points were a gift. That was after the interception, and the defense held.
Yeah, it did.
So really, I mean, up until 2 minutes, let's call it 6 minutes, the final drive. Up until the final drive, they really had given up 10 points, like 10 points that Notre Dame had to earn. And like you said, that's winning football most days. But as we sit here with a couple offensive guys, it's crazy because 2 of those first 3 drives, they went down for points. And I know it's only field goals, but it's like, okay, 2 of your first 3 drives of the season against this defense, and if they can, and they were never able to get it going. What did you see, Kendrick, in terms of let's start with that passing game?
I was honestly disappointed. I expected to see more explosive plays on offense. New offensive coordinator. You got Wigman back healthy. I expected, shot plays with Thomas. I expected to see more out of Moose. Didn't really see Moose. Mm-hmm. So I was honestly disappointed that there was no shot plays. There was no explosive plays besides a few that we had. I just wanted to see more.
Seth,
I agree. I mean, so if you're looking back on it and to see the result that we got, it's kind of shocking because, to be honest, Connor was the last guy that you had dialed up that would just play as bad as that he did.
Yeah.
Maybe you thought the offensive line wouldn't mesh. They did fine. They didn't do great, but I thought that they did a good enough job to win the football game. Running game was there. Le'Veon did his job, and I thought that was fine. It could have obviously been better, but the passing game was definitely an issue. I'm sure that it could be hashed out and talked about by, I'll let McGee and you receivers, Kendrick, talk about, the ins and outs of that kind of play. But from the perspective on the offensive line, I was at least surprised and decently happy with what happened. And I think that unit's – I hate that Naboo's gone. I mean, that definitely hurts to lose a guy like that. But you have hope for the remainder of the season with the guys that you saw perform. I thought DeSantis did a good job. I thought the guy – I can't remember his name – the guy from Utah that stepped in.
Coley
did a good job of filling in when he got in. So we're going to need that, obviously, for the remainder of the year. And he said it himself, Connor. I mean, he's got to be better. There's no excuse for the way that he played. And I can't put a finger on why he did some of the things that he did and went out and reacted the way that he did. But overall, it was just a poor performance, and he knows it, and it's got to be better.
I agree.
Yeah, it was wild to me watching that, and because you've seen a lot. I hadn't seen him I've seen him get, I think, a little in his head. That Auburn game last year before he got hurt, that was a struggle.
That was the last time he stepped foot on the field. Was
Really,
that
2 games
time,
against
yeah.
Auburn. He hung in that Miami game, but I know in the first half, I do know that, Petrino at halftime really settled him down and did something. So I think this game, the way he responded surprised me, because I thought for all this time, and maybe he put too much on himself. I don't know. First game back in a year, a new offense, Kyle Field. Oh, by the way, let me remind you, in case you didn't remember, you're going out there against that's a really good defense, Sean,
Really
but
good
that Notre
defense.
Dame secondary, to me,
They're
is what was
impressive.
elite. I don't know if their whole defense, like their front seven's elite. They looked really good, really well coached. To me, that back end, though, they were blanketing the A&M receivers for most of the
They
game.
were. I don't know if that comes from the offense being simple, like too simple, but they did. They had every receiver covered, blanketed. We couldn't get open.
Let me ask you all about that simple offense comment there, because it's a lot of talk. You've been in games you haven't been in that. I guess you had under Sherman some. You definitely weren't your senior year. You've been in a bunch of them. You've been in some. When it's such a defensive struggle like that, do you think, and you're coaching now too, by the way, so do you think that both sides, because I felt like both offenses were being pretty conservative, almost like you said, that defensive play to change the whole game? It's like whenever they were both inside the 30, they were both being mega conservative so as to not have that one play happen. Is that something that happens in games where you guys are in, or is that just me looking at it as a fan wrong? Because it sure felt that way.
I wouldn't say it was wrong. It was a great observation, but I feel like once they got in the 30, there was no attack.
Yeah.
They were very
didn't flip a
conservative.
switch. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can't put a finger on it, but it definitely was something that wasn't clicking and wasn't dialed in. And frankly, Elko was, you could just read the press clippings and see that he was not pleased overall with the offensive scheme, not just the performance, but the scheme. And hopefully, somehow, whatever it was that he wasn't pleased about just gets addressed,
Yeah.
and it's not like that moving forward. But yeah, when you're put in that situation of a defensive struggle, you definitely don't want to be the offense that goes out there and blows it or makes a mistake, and that might cause people to press or whatever. But that's how it goes. Like neither offense was just doing tremendous, right? They were both sort of about the same. And Notre Dame's was doing a little bit better until they finally just broke, and then when that happened, it was all over. There was no coming back.
Everybody's talking about that 3rd and 5 there at the end where A&M could have just got a 3 and out, got off the field, got the ball back with 4 minutes left to win it. And where they would have gotten it back, they probably at worst go to overtime, right? You miss a field goal or you have to punt it. Notre Dame's way back. No time left. They're going conservative. I think that the big play was on 1st and 15. Riley Leonard ran for 9. And if you just hold them to a 2-3 yard gain there, it changes the whole thing. He gained 9 yards on 1st and 15. That set up the makeable 3rd down. Sean, when you're playing against a quarterback that's struggling like Connor was, how much better, if at all, does it make you guys play defensively as that game goes on? And as a linebacker, okay, this guy looks flustered. His feet aren't right. He's not making good throws. I'm not as worried about, does that elevate the play even that much more?
I think it does, and I think it just gives the defense more and more confidence as the game goes and as you see the quarterback getting more and more flustered. 2 big things about a quarterback that I know from playing defense is that in the awareness category, you have some quarterbacks who are, they get happy feet, right? They see ghosts. We call it seeing ghosts, right? That's kind of the symptom that we saw Connor having this last Saturday, right? And then you have some quarterbacks who they never see it. They'll stand there and get hit as hard as you know what I'm saying? And a guy that pops up in my head first one in that category is RG3. That's why RG3 didn't end up playing for a long time in the NFL because once you get up to that big time, that big league, and those guys are humming the way they're humming, but it's a guy that's 285 pounds just running a 4.5 hitting you, it's a little bit different. So those are the two extreme negatives of a quarterback. You always want your quarterback to be somewhere in the middle, somewhere, probably on the bottom side of Johnny Manziel Maniac, right?
Yeah.
But some kind of
Just
even
a little hint of it.
little hint of it, right?
A little to go a long ways there.
But you want your quarterback to kind of be in the middle of that, to have that awareness, to know, feel the rush, see the rush, know when it's coming, but to not have happy feet, not see ghosts out there, not be running around when there's nothing to run away from.
And am I wrong, guys, or did we not see a lot of that from Connor previously?
That's not him in my eyes.
I don't recall it last year. And I don't want to put it all off on the incompletions or interceptions or anything like that. But I started to notice. I was like, there's nobody around him. I mean, it was like at least a foot radius. I know, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, especially.
So I don't want to put that there was pressure or anything like that. There was nobody around him, and he still chose to throw off his back foot at times, and then to panic. Let's call it what it was. And I was like, I can't put my finger on the reasoning, but something was unsettled in his mind, and he felt pressured when there was no pressure, just like you were kind of talking about. And I don't know the reasoning behind it.
Yeah.
But it was just obvious.
And I definitely think both those lines kind of outplayed their pants in this game, to be honest.
True.
Yeah, going back to Notre Dame, we talked about that Friday. I was like, I don't want to say I was impressed because I thought that our D-line still did a good job, but they, I guess, took the big play away from our defensive line. We didn't get the big plays that maybe you thought you would. They played a great game, don't get me wrong, and I'm sure they're mad that they didn't play better. But that Notre Dame offensive line did better than I
Riley
thought
Leonard
they would.
had some Colin Klein to him. You played against Colin Klein. I just thought I saw him after the game, like outside the Notre Dame locker room. He's a bigger dude than you think. He's the size of some of those linebackers. He's a pretty big cat. But just kind of how he would just kind of patiently wait, see it, pick, and go. And then, he just kind of nibbled at that A&M defense the whole game. And like you said, he didn't make the big mistake. And if they had to punt, they were punting. I thought he showed a lot in the poise. I don't know how far he can carry them. Like once they get to like a playoff, they didn't have that look to them. But damn, a poised quarterback and a great defense can take you a long way.
And a great running game
Yeah.
take you a long way.
They did have some good backs.
Those running backs squeaked through a few times.
They did.
That one, man. That was crazy.
Yeah.
Going back to Riley, though, so I can't remember who I was listening to or where I heard it, but they were kind of doubting his NFL capability. I was like, I wouldn't doubt that so soon, man. I think that he's a pretty solid quarterback, and I think we have a very legitimate defense too. And he did. I mean, we shut him down to probably his standard, but I think he can be a better quarterback than what he showed on Saturday. I'm not trying to hype up Notre Dame.
That shows something too, though, the resilience to be shut down for that long and to stay in it and keep grinding and keep going at it. So, I mean, those guys, it tells something about those guys. I agree with you. I don't think they're the best team in the country. I don't think they're up there with the top teams, but they might be that next tier down.
Yeah,
Like you said, looking at their schedule, though, they're destined to make the playoffs for sure.
So I don't think they're the fifth best. I think they might be probably in the top 10, when you cut through it. But I'm like, it's difficult to read a lot of the chatter this week and on social media, on our message boards, because I get the frustration. It's like the LSU fans this week. They've lost 5 openers in a row. Could you imagine?
Oh, T-Bob.
And LSU holds themselves to such a different standard, but lose 5 years in a row, you start 0-1. But there was a lot to like, I think, about their performance against USC, but they're 0-1. They're 0-5 in their last 5 openers. So I get it because A&M hasn't gotten to 2-0. I mean, they have, but most years since you got done playing, even the year you guys were top 5 team, you started 0-1. A&M historically has not done much 2-0.
Well, okay, so
I get the frustration, but go ahead because I wanted to say something about it.
You were on that 2012 team?
Yep, that's my senior year.
Perfect. Well, this is a great example that I'm about to give, and I'm not trying to be.
Were you a captain, Seth? We have 2 captains. Nice.
I'm not trying to be some kind of sunshine pumper, but this is a great example. So My freshman year in '98, when we won the Big 12 championship, we lost to second-ranked Florida State. Okay, and did we go out there and look dominant? No, we didn't. We
Yeah, the
lost.
offense was-
lost by maybe 10.
You got your ass kicked. Well, he was a freshman center going up against like
an
a
all-American
top 5 draft
Corey
pick.
Simon.
It was brutal.
But
That gets rough.
it was rough.
But it was
It
the
fun.
offense was rough.
But what I'm getting at is that we lost that game, and if you want to be a sunshine pupper, you can take this as a positive. But we got better. We won. We went out and we beat second-ranked Nebraska at home. Did a couple games later. We kept doing better and winning and finding a way to win every game. Yeah, we lost to Texas. Then we won the Big 12 championship. We lost in a bowl game. Am I saying right today that but it could happen?
Yeah, you never.
It could happen.
It happened. Well, it happened to LSU.
And
2
it
years
happened.
ago.
It happened when you were a senior, right? We go out and we lose to Florida, right? And we go out and rattle off and end up having a very good
Lost
year,
the
our first
second
year.
game. I mean, were you 3-2 at a point, or was it 4-2? It wasn't any better than 4-2.
What? My senior year?
Yeah, like LSU was fairly early.
Nah, we lost to Florida.
Game 1.
Then maybe week 5 LSU.
Yeah, like I'm saying, it wasn't like you were like maybe 3-2. Just so it wasn't. No one would have thought, except y'all, like what was to come. Once you lose to LSU, it's like, okay, they got 2 SEC losses. They're barely above 500. And then it was just like, and I'm not, look, there's not a Johnny. I don't think you guys were way deep into the RC era. So I don't think there is a culture here yet that Mike Elko has been able to set in that locker room. These guys are now 12-14 in their last 26 games, right? So I don't think it's a culture like you guys had under RC. But look at LSU 2 years ago did that. They lost to Florida State, and they really were getting their ass kicked, and they came back, and then they got the extra point blocked. They came back and won the West. Now there's no West. I think Notre Dame's the best team A&M will play. The wild card is maybe Missouri. I think A&M's the best. Notre Dame's the best team the Aggies will play until they play Texas. And I think it's the best defense they'll play probably until they play Texas.
Let's just say,
I mean, so with all that said, in game 1 under a new head coach, they're tied with, at the 2-minute warning, which we now have in college football.
Not a fan.
I'm not either. They're tied at the 2-minute warning to the team that's now ranked 5th in the country. So, I mean, I see the frustration. I also see that let's not
there's
go
heavy
crazy.
frustration.
Let's not go
but
crazy
But
yet.
it's not over, right? I mean,
No,
it's just not
it's
over.
far from over.
Well, here's the deal. Is our offense going to struggle? Yes. But I believe that our defense is good enough to take us where we need to get to. I think that with our defensive line as stable as it's been for a long time, and it is again, I believe, and our defensive backs much better, like infinitely better than they were last year. Like if we had the same, I'm not trying to be too mean about this, but it's just a much improved group from where we were a year, from the transfer portal, all that stuff. But our defense can take us a long way. And hopefully you have to rely on the fact or hope for the fact that Connor can get his stuff corrected.
Yeah.
Because they're like, no one wants to hear it, but it was some just very dumb things that happened, but you're also very close to doing a few right things that could change the game. And it's frustrating to think about as a fan, and no one wants to admit it because we did get beat plain and simple and look bad at it.
We're going to wrap this part up and talk some randomness after this, I think. But I was writing, and by the way, I deleted it, didn't send it to Zane. So we've talked plenty before everybody goes, you didn't want to talk about Colin Klein's offense. You just talked about the players. That's my voice for angry Aggie. But
Go read Elko's comments. He made comments.
but Colin, okay, so one of the things that, and we've talked about this on every different platform this week, McGee and I talked about it yesterday. One of the things to me, guys, and again, I go back to Sean played against Colin Klein. And you played against K-State and Bill Snyder. You beat him. You played against Michael Bishop. I've watched K-State the last couple of years. How much do you think it affects Klein and what he likes to do if you're not running the quarterback?
I think that with Colin Klein, unlike when he played us back in the day, he had a terrible performance. I don't think he had a great performance. I think it's okay to say that we have bad days sometimes. Rookie offensive coordinator coming out there, it might be a little bit shaky, right?
Against that defense.
Yeah, and when you have a quarterback coming off an injury, both of you guys are kind of in that dogfight together, right? But I do think that he prefers to have a running quarterback like himself. So I think that in his offenses, he prefers a quarterback like that. But I also think this is big-time college football. This is the SEC. We all have to, get used to what we have and roll with it. I hate to be the pessimist in the room here, but y'all know me.
You are the pessimist.
Aren't we
Tired
tired
as a player.
Aren't we tired of this crap though?
for
Aren't we
sure.
tired of this crap?
That's
Every
what
year
I'm
having to
saying.
be like, oh well, we might still have a shot at this. We might
Is
still
this
be
your
able
locker
to.
room speech?
This isn't my locker room speech,
No,
but
this
hey,
is what you
this
did
is
after the Florida loss.
this is nuts, right? It's been years and years and years, man.
We have way too much talent.
When I came
Way
here
too
back in the
much.
day in 2009, we were transitioning from Fran to Sherman, right? And things were so optimistic back then. Oh man, we're gonna be good. He's just let him recruit some guys, and then my junior year happens, and we're losing games by 3 points and
New
6
coach.
points, and new coach, boom. Then we just happen to kind of have a year, right? We have a loaded team, really, from the way that I look at it. We have a bunch of seniors that are ready to play. We're rocking and rolling, right? And it feels like we're set up to be one of those great teams in college football, doesn't it? Now we're getting number one recruiting. Think about 2015 to now, right? We're getting number one classes in the nation. We're getting the best guys. We got the big guns, right? What happens in the big games?
I'm with you.
We
It's for
got to
sure.
clean it up, Ags. We got to clean it up, Ags.
I agree.
And I believe in Elko. I believe in, he's a defensive-minded coach. I love him, coming back from, it seems like he's a player's coach, right? The guys really love him. Guys believe in him. And what I really like about him is he's not one of those hotshot superstar coaches around here that demands a lot of personal attention for himself, right? He's a blue-collar guy. He's going to, get up and go to work every day. He's not going to, I don't think, make any outlandish statements in the media that are going to be
he's
distractions to
measured,
our team.
for sure.
He's a measured guy, right? So I believe in him going forward with this program, but
You just wanted
man,
that game.
I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it yesterday.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
agree.
Yeah, we let it go. I mean, we
especially so in the era of NIL,
Right.
where A&M is. And look, I'll credit Elko because I don't like that numbers are out and things like that, and I don't go that route. But I'll just say that since he's gotten here, he has really motivated and lit a fire under, the donor base in terms of how important NIL is to the success of this program. And so what people don't realize is how far behind the Aggies were to, look, being real honest, Texas, Ohio State, even like Tennessee, even Ole Miss, Oregon especially. That has changed very quickly. And that's great, but going back to what you said, that's all the more reason that A&M has to be one of the haves and not the have-nots. So so when you lose a game like that, I'll sit here and say it like you said, it can be both. It doesn't mean this is a lost season. It doesn't mean your offense isn't going to be good all year. It doesn't mean you can't figure it out. But it's frustrating as hell.
Yeah.
Especially when you watch the game. Just like, and I'm joking with Sean, because I don't know if you know this, but after they lost that Florida game,
You won't let this one go.
he said the same thing. But I'm saying it 12 years ago, and it was the same message.
Yeah, I broke a locker through my helmet. It was bad.
I'll never let it go.
Defensive guys, I'm telling you.
Yeah, don't mess with him.
We
Linebacker.
got it together after that.
but
Yeah. So, I mean, and
that's
the
what-
problem is
that's
I don't
what
know
I'm
who
saying.
did that. That is an issue. I don't know who, if anyone in that locker room did that. And maybe that was a game to do that, where you had some of the young guys thinking, damn, man, we're just 0-1. But then the old guys go, no.
This is
no,
my
we
senior
just
year.
lost.
y'all
It's
are-
deeper. It's way
this is
deeper.
not-
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, if like that, what was it? I can't remember. It might have been the fourth quarter, the third quarter, whatever, when they play. Was it Mo Bamba three times in a row? Like that was one of the greatest experiences at Kyle Field that I've had. I mean, you could compare that whole deal and how loud it got then, and then making stops and things like that. It was great until it wasn't. I mean, how about that? I mean, like it was all teed up and ready to go, and we were there. We had it in our grasp, but we totally just gave it away.
Casca is my buddy, the DJ. And so we were talking about that this weekend, and I'm like, we were all messing with him. Why don't you play it on that 3rd and 5? Why don't we bring it back? Right? So maybe it's just as simple as blaming him.
Yeah, there you go.
But no, that
That's an
atmosphere
easier one.
was electric, and it was the story of why, 3 times in a row, and just kind of how that set up with the injury and then something else, and then it was pretty funny. But yeah, it was electric. But like Sean said, you're going to do all that. You want to walk off the field
Right.
with those celebrations, and that's it. You mentioned
Yeah, there are no
98.
moral victories. I think we all know that.
Yeah.
And it's horrible to lose that way, but all hope is not lost. It's just a
No.
very frustrating way to go about losing, to play that bad.
So
and
what do y'all
be
want
that
to see on
close.
Kendrick? What do you want to see on offense? Here are the next few opponents: McNeese, a Florida team that just gave up 41 to Miami, Bowling Green, Arkansas. Okay, and then Missouri comes in here, and by the way, they're way more known for their offense than their defense. But I'm just saying, those 4 games, the next month of football, what do you want to see? Because I feel like that's the make or break month of the season for that unit.
Selfishly, I want to see the receivers get open first. I want to see the quarterback be more confident, more settled in the pocket. The offensive line continue to grow, continue to get better. Running backs continue to pound the hole, be consistent, and be eager to run the ball. But most importantly, I want to see shot plays, be aggressive, don't be conservative. I just want to see us compete more. I don't think we competed in the receiver aspect of it. I felt like we were too soft, too laid back, not eager for jump balls, not eager blocking. I think if you want to have a great team, you got to be able to block, run the ball, and pass the ball. And I don't think we fill those 3 boxes.
Yeah, well, he summed it up nicely. I mean, but to go on to that, I'd just say I want to see Colin Klein get his offense rolling and dialed in and create our identity, whatever that's going to be. But to solve one of the biggest issue, Connor's got to get his stuff right. However that is, and whatever he's got to do to get right, he's going to be the guy that determines how our offense goes moving forward. And we got to put up points. I mean, I guess if you're asking me about McNeese, yeah, we got to put up 40 plus. And then you go to Florida, I don't know, give me 30. But you're going to need 40 when you go up against who's just Missouri coming in after that. You're going to need about 40 then. So
Sean's over here like bullshit.
There you go.
You better not. But
I'm looking for us to develop our confidence and our symmetry and our togetherness on offense. I'm looking for that group to just all mesh together, offensive
rhythm.
coordinator included. I'm looking for Colin Klein to get with those guys and figure out their strengths, figure out their weaknesses, and to go with it. And, one thing that I saw in this last game that I feel like we need to be working on over the next 4 games is our mid-range shot. I feel like it's a lot like basketball these days. All these analytics have come in and stuff, right? You got Steph Curry shooting from half court. You got guys dunking and going to the rim all the time, right? So the analytics say a mid-range shot is a bad shot. Mid-range shot is Michael Jordan made his life off a mid-range shot, right? Guys still wear Michael Jordan shoes to this day, right?
Yep.
So we need that mid-range game in our offense. We need that between 5 and 15, 5 and 20-yard game in our offense. I'm looking forward to seeing that develop. And also, just like Kendrick said, the receivers got to be a lot better.
yeah.
This is big time, man. We can't have no slouches out there running around that receiver. Receivers got to be a lot.
Did you think it was more receiver or based, or how should I put this? Did the receivers contribute to the lack of quarterback success on Saturday?
No.
Okay, I was just wondering because
There was drop passes.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of on the perimeter blocking. That could have been a lot better. And I don't feel like they got open. There was no separation. And if you want to have a great season, you got to have separation. You see your quarterback struggling, you need to help him out. I don't think they helped him out.
That's what I was going to say. I don't think that they contributed to the lack of his success. Connor's bad game is on him, right? All that's on him. His awareness, the way he's acting in the pocket all fidgety, that's on him, right? That's one game. We got to let it go like a good cornerback or something, right? But those receivers have to help the quarterback out, right? Especially when you see your quarterback is struggling, man, you got to beat this guy. You got to get clear separation. Give your quarterback a big target, right? You're 6'6" or something, right? Big target out here, right? Throw it anywhere around me, I'm going to catch it, right?
I feel like on those,
you got to help him.
Those 50-50 balls we had, I don't think they attacked the ball like they should. Like
I see what you're saying because I never thought we were going to get one of them.
we, 2 or 3 of them? And how many did we complete?
None.
That's an issue. You got a free play. Execute the free play. If the ball's in the air, you have to get it. Noah Thomas is 6'6". There's no reason why he should not come down with a 50-50 ball.
Yeah.
Great ball skills, too. Noah Thomas, number 3, he's got great ball skills.
Great ball skills. So does Moose Muhammad. Didn't see him as much as I would like, but
And I'm confused about that. What's
think
going?
that's-
You know, is he not going to class? Is he in the streets doing something
I need to
crazy?
figure it out. I
Or,
need to
you
know. I
know?
need
You
to
know
know.
what's funny is I don't think Moose gets in off. I don't know that, you know, and if he was, I would. If he was, I wouldn't come on here and air out somebody's business. But because he's not, I will say I don't think Moose gets in off the field trouble.
I can see it.
I think it's just at this point you've had 2 coaching staffs, you've had several offensive coordinators, and it's still things like that. So I mean, at some point, I wish there was somebody like a teammate or somebody that could get to him and say, "Hey man, we really need," and like actually get through.
Because he's a baller.
But it's got to be, in my opinion, it's got to be
those-
something that's happening during the course of the week, or, you know, Kendrick, you know this, like, if you're out there and you know, what's your knowledge of the routes? What are you paying enough attention each week to run the right routes? Are you think? I don't know what it is, but it
Are you
feels
being
like
coachable? Are you listening?
yeah, I feel like it's more in that building and practice field than it has to do with anything outside of it. Because it's, again, it's a second coaching staff. And so hopefully he gets it right. But they need him.
Yeah.
They need catches.
He's a
That's
game
exactly
changer.
what y'all are talking
He's a
about.
game changer for
I think
sure.
it's impossible either, man. Like a lot of people going through multiple coaching staffs. You know, why not? Why not him?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. My comment to everything we're saying, I want to see more guy from his neck of the woods. I want to see more Terry Bussey.
Yes.
Number
yes,
2.
I'm gonna talk
I
about
want to see more of him. And I understand game 1, he'd been practicing offense exclusively for I shouldn't even say exclusively.
He's been on the defense at first,
Yeah,
so you
for
got
like
to get.
2
He's
weeks.
young too.
Yeah.
You can't just go.
So
to the buddy.
I understand that, but I also at the same time want to see a lot more. This is the month to do it if you want him to help you win
I feel like
SEC games.
I feel like they could use him like they use Anais.
Yeah.
Contribute him like you did Anais. Throw him in at running back. Throw him in at slot. Throw him in outside. Get him in motion. Get him moving. Get him involved.
And by the way, when I was talking about running quarterback, what I meant to add to is, can Connor do that? Not be, just keep it a time or two instead of giving that up. It felt like they really weren't respecting him pulling that at all. And just if he'd have done it a couple times in that game, because, can he get chain moving runs? That's all I'm talking about, not Tannehill.
I like doing stuff
By the
like
way,
that.
he did do that in high school all the time, though, but he's definitely gotten bigger, and he's coming off that foot injury.
But I
He
like
could
doing that
run.
stuff like that on the first play with a guy like him. He's coming off this injury. He's mentally like in
Yeah.
this weird place where it's like, man, I don't know if I can still do it. Am I still him? Can I still play? Can I still run? Can I still evade these big monsters that are chasing me, right? I think a guy like that, you get him dirty quick, man. Get him dirty quick. He's a ball player. This is not.
Let him know that he can still play.
You're a ball player. Connor Wickman is 6'3", 220. This guy plays football, right? It's okay for somebody to hit you. It's okay to fall on the ground. You're not, we're not plastic, man. He's a ball player. Get this kid dirty. Let him know we're still playing football.
Yeah.
Same game you've been playing your whole life. And let him play, man. I've already seen him be so good. I don't know. You can't tell me this guy's just, what did he hurt, his ankle?
It was a foot, ankle.
His foot?
Yeah.
He didn't hurt his arm or his shoulder, right? Like,
I don't know.
I think he'll get it right. I
Look
think he can
banged
get back
up
on track.
in game, though. He did,
Maybe he's
I
not
noticed
banged
as
up.
that
Maybe
game
he
went
was
on.
scared.
I think he
It's a
was.
mental thing.
It
I think
is.
it's a mental thing.
You think maybe from just the season ending it, like you were saying,
Yeah.
getting back out there.
It affects people differently.
True.
Maybe he was nervous. Maybe he felt like, I'm not confident
I don't wanna get
enough.
hurt.
Yeah, like,
I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure if I can do it yet. But I mean, I think you got to get him to that point quick, because you
Yeah.
can't hit him in practice, right? You can't say, "Oh
no.
man, we're gonna just go live with the quarterback, get you right for the
but if,
first
that's what it
game.
takes, a couple little thuds to get him
Yeah,
right.
let them thud him up a little bit. We don't want him to be on sacks when he's getting blindsided. Run a little, you know how they like to run that little read option
Yeah.
out there. Run a little read option, let him get in there and get his nose dirty against a safety or something.
I'd like to see that in game, if
Yeah.
I'm being honest. All right, y'all watch college football, I'm assuming, a lot this weekend. Give me each of you guys give me the thing that stood out to you most, whether it's a player, whether it's a team, a good team, a bad team, whatever. What stood out to you most this weekend, Kendrick?
Florida State.
in a bad way.
Oh man,
I don't know if it's DJU. Like I don't know what the.
Yeah, it's DJU, man.
I understand that it's him, but like, what is it with him that he cannot go over that hump that he's facing?
Yeah,
Because Clemson, his first year, he was great. Quickly went down.
Yep.
Oklahoma, where'd he go? Oregon State?
Yeah.
Did he go down or did he lose his confidence when Trevor Lawrence took his spot? Mental.
By the way, I had a tough.
It could be both. It could be both. But at the same time, you've been at 3 different programs.
Yep.
He's all right
At
at
some
Oregon State.
point,
They
you
had a
got to
good
figure
year.
it out. He was
Mediocre.
Defense.
Mediocre.
That was a defense and run. They had a great running back who's at Miami now, and they had.
the defense is still good.
By the way,
The offense
I got
just
a
got
bone to pick with DJU.
Everybody does.
You know what the bone to pick is? In 2020, I always say this. Everyone, all the other fan bases say, "Well, A&M, you only were finishing top 5 because it was COVID year." No, DJU is why A&M didn't go to the playoff. Trevor Lawrence got COVID. DJ, as a freshman, had to go into
cooking.
South
He
Bend
was.
to play Notre Dame.
He was cooking.
He was, but then he made some mistakes there at the end, and Notre Dame beat him. And then when Trevor Lawrence came back, they beat him by like 30. So it's really, it's COVID is what actually kept A&M out of the playoffs that year. And DJ Uiagalelei, I'm with you, man. Florida State. It's pretty amazing. First of all, how do you start your season with 2 conference games? One in Ireland. I don't know.
That's legit,
pretty
though.
bold.
That's
It
legit.
is, but I don't know what kind of AD would sign up for that. That's asking for trouble.
You're Florida State. You got Georgia Tech and Boston College. I wouldn't think we're in too much trouble, guys.
I agree.
Shouldn't be, but they were.
Interesting.
They were getting eaten up by Bill O'Brien last night. I mean, to me,
Still a good coach. I mean,
It's still a good coach.
Yeah.
NFL guy. Not that I don't think he's a great NFL coach, but
Yeah.
NFL guy, great mind. Knows what he's doing.
I'm also thankful for Bill O'Brien because he just decided to throw the ball every down against A&M inside the 5-yard line here. But Florida State, two conference games that started off, blown out by Georgia. This sport is so fickle that Seminole fans were
On the verge.
so jealous of Jimbo being at A&M. Then they were laughing at A&M as they were rolling to the playoffs and in their mind a national title. Now, I promise you,
They want to
there are a
battle.
lot of fans over there that want him out. And what's crazy is he was probably a top 3 candidate for the Alabama job this offseason.
Norvell, yeah.
It's crazy how fast things can turn around. What did you see this weekend?
My biggest takeaway this weekend was the Colorado Buffaloes. I was watching the Colorado Buffaloes. Now, number one, my first takeaway from that is that they chose a tough first game of the year, right? And I'm saying that for
Nothing
a team
to
like
gain there.
For a team like Colorado, right? Colorado was a great team back in the 90s, back when they had Cordell Stewart and a bunch of great players over there, right? I remember playing in my first year in the Big 12. But they're coming back to resurgence now. It's a young team. They have about 40 transfers, a lot of different people coming in, new faces, new schemes, all type of stuff going on. For them to pick the FCS champion year after year after year after year for the last 15 years or something in their first game, very, very shaky choice, I feel like. But it turned out good for them because they ended up winning the game. And from that game, I saw Travis Hunter's the real deal.
Yeah, he's definitely the real deal.
He looks, I mean,
Man.
if there's a better player in college football, I want to see him.
Yeah, I mean,
That dude.
He's gotten bigger
Yeah.
this year. He's
On
gotten
offense and
stronger this
defense, like,
year.
that is insane.
well, I was making the comment. I was like, it's funny that he's being coached by the guy that was probably most like him.
Yep.
Well, I think that's a big part of how he got him, too.
Yeah.
I'm sure that was a whole part of the whole, operate. Because remember, he got him at Jackson State.
Right.
It wasn't like he even got him to Colorado. So that was, he's special.
He's a
I'll
hell of
be
a player.
them versus Nebraska this weekend.
Good one.
I can't wait for
Everybody's
that.
lining up to see Colorado go down. I'm not a fan of how Deion's just I just wish he would just coach. 'Cause I think the players, he can get through to them.
Yep.
And I think he can bring great players there. I just watch him and I'm like, this is the vibe of someone that's going to implode if it doesn't get I don't think he can kind of ride it out. The other guy who I think that would apply to if he ever gets in crossways and kind of in that, how you said Elko measured and just kind of, I'm telling you right now, here he is. Brian Kelly is not a fit at LSU. I don't care what they, and I think their fans know it, and I think from what I've heard around there, he knows it. And if they're 0-1, if they go 8-3 the rest of the way, and go look at their schedule. If they go 8-3 the rest of their way and finish 8-4, I'm telling you, that guy, he wanted the Michigan job. Everybody bashed me for saying it. Then the LSU insider started saying the same thing. That one's interesting as well. But I'm with Colorado though. If they beat Nebraska, I wouldn't mind seeing them lose it and seeing kind of Nebraska. You talk about another
Rule's
one.
doing good over there.
Nebraska, yeah, and I like Rule. I think Rule's a little hokey, but he's good. He's a good coach, good program builder. Yes. Did it at Baylor. I'd like to kind of see Nebraska win, but if Colorado wins, I think it would be pretty damn funny too, because then it's just like the bad guy just got bigger, and now everybody's going, oh crap, what are they going to do? So it's pretty. Yeah, so it's pretty. What about you? What you?
I like. Oh, go ahead.
One thing before we move on: is Hunter a DB or a wide receiver in the NFL?
Wide receiver.
Put you on the spot.
I know. I mean, I'll say this: that just follow the dollars. They put more value at DB. So if they think that he's going to be that kind of an elite kind of guy, they'll put him at DB.
I think the receivers make $50 million. How much do the receivers? I think the receivers.
I know you see him
more
getting
than
paid
DBs.
now.
Yeah.
What do you
He's
think?
flipping.
I think.
I always thought that, like, unless it might have flipped, but
Justin
I thought
Jefferson. Justin
I-
Jefferson just broke.
Yeah.
I think what Seth also thought that Jaden Daniels was LSU.
I didn't either. I'm gonna go back on that one.
I think it's this. I actually think in the NFL, he'd probably be a better corner. Like, I think he could be like the best corner in the NFL.
I think he's like Sauce Gardner, and I think he's in
Yeah.
that mold.
But I think money-wise and just the draw he could be for a franchise, I think he'll end up playing receiver.
Do you think that he could possibly do both?
No.
How about that?
No, sir.
I mean, I won't say no because anything's possible, but the NFL is different. Those cats are way, way different.
And if anything, he'll be like Deion. You know how Deion was a corner,
Every
right?
once in a while.
Played 50 plays on D every single game, and maybe 10, 15, 12.
I can see that being a
packages
possibility.
on offense, right? I think he'll do that. Maybe, but it'll be cool to see him play full-time receiver and get spot duty on defense. We don't see that.
You don't see that at all.
Yeah,
that would be
put him in nickel or
Part
something.
of me thinks that's what ultimately what Elko could have seen for Terry Bussey.
Yeah.
Corner, 15, 20 snaps on offense, especially in this offense where you can get him the ball pretty easily with all the motion they do and stuff. But I think they watched camp, and I think the necessity right now this year is at receiver. They've got some DBs that didn't really play much. By the way, I can't wait to see you break down 25.
I think he's really good. I
think
saw
he's
him. I
really-
saw him at practice.
yeah.
I went to practice and saw him.
I think losing him, and it was his fault on the
Huge.
target, but that was a big-ass difference in the
That's
game.
my
Huge
first. That's my
difference.
first play.
Is it really?
Yeah, sorry to cut you off.
No,
What did you see
you're
this
fine.
weekend?
What was your?
No, I was impressed with the way Cam Ward made the transition to Miami.
yes.
He did a really
That's a good
good
point.
job.
That was nice.
I know that I don't know from how lightly I pay attention to the recruiting. I try to pay as much as I can, but I know that we had interest in him. I can't remember how serious it was, but he was good last year at Washington State, and to see him carry that over to Miami, they're going to be pretty salty, I think, this year with a really good quarterback like they have. So
Miami, man, you look around the ACC. Notre Dame and
who's gonna
Miami.
beat
Notre
them?
Dame and Miami to me look like the safest bets out of the Power Five to be in the playoff right
Right.
now. To me, it was three teams I watched that are big-time names that are ranked that I was going, what the hell am I watching here? And it was Oregon, Clemson, and Michigan. None of those three, obviously, Clemson got drubbed.
Clemson was ugly.
None of those three teams looked good at all. And Oregon was ahead of Idaho by 3 with 6 minutes left. Can you imagine? And Michigan, it took a long time to get going against Fresno. And I just think Texas is going to go in there and blow the doors off them. I think of those three, Oregon is going to be really good.
You think
I think
Texas is
they-
going to destroy Michigan?
Yeah, I do.
I think that's what he said.
Yeah, they lost.
He might be drunk. I don't know.
Michigan?
They lost everyone.
At Michigan?
Yep.
You might
Hope
be
you're
drunk.
wrong.
I
all
think,
my
I,
life.
think, I think Texas goes in there and they do the Texas thing where they beat a Michigan team that's going to lose to, I don't know who they play in the Big Ten. They don't play Penn State this year. But they're going to lose 3 conference games and they're going to be 8-4. And this is going to be treated like it's the
Who's beating Michigan in conference? Michigan State?
Ohio State. I don't know who they play. I think
Ohio
they don't
State's
play
one
Penn
loss?
State.
There's one.
Which, by the way, Penn State and James Franklin, I thought that was
they're
a
pretty legit.
quietly
That was
impressive
good.
win to go into that craziness of West Virginia. I think Notre Dame had the best win this weekend, or USC. And, but Notre Dame, because they were
I
on
was
true
about to
road.
say,
we were
that was
favored.
a true road game.
True road game,
Yeah.
slight underdog, and then I think Penn State might be second. You go into Morgantown, West Virginia, that's wild. And they're rivals,
wild.
and they handled them.
And you think Texas is going to go
Yeah, I do.
in Michigan
They
and
lost,
win?
man, they lost like 19 of 22 starters and a head coach and a first-round draft pick at quarterback. That is so much.
But they have a first-round draft pick running back.
I know.
Michigan's got guys, man.
Let's just hope you're wrong.
They got
It's
guys.
so much to lose. Okay, the only way it doesn't happen is if Texas can't stop the run and if Michigan can line up and
Their
play.
defense didn't look impressive this week.
Smash mouth.
So I could see it.
Okay. I hope you're. Look. I hope you're right. I do.
But the fact that you came on this show
picked
and
them.
even
Your
picked
own
them,
show.
like that makes no sense.
How do you know I'm not trying to reverse jinx here?
There you
That's
go.
not how that works.
It does. I have like.
Not on your own show, it don't.
Yeah.
No, you're
it
gonna get
goes out,
you're gonna
it's
get so
like,
much hate for this.
I'm gonna be like, I called it.
You're gonna get so
I
much
didn't pick
hate.
them to win the Natty.
It don't matter. You picked them to win in general.
I don't think they're going to win the national championship. I think that's Georgia, or even though they got off sluggish, they always do. I think it's Georgia or Ohio State, and I think they're the two best. All right, last thing. I want a little trivia with y'all. Best, there's twofold. And you young guys, I don't know. Seth was born an Aggie, so he's going to cheat on this one.
I'm a cheat.
Aggie trivia?
But Aggie trivia here. Best player, A&M. Rank your top. This has been more fun. We'll just do this one. Top 5 players in the NFL in the last 25 years from A&M. So we're in 2024. So since around
Top
2000.
5.
Like, are we talking?
In order, so because a couple
In
of
order.
them-
You talking?
Come on,
about
now.
easy.
To recollect them is
Number
tough.
one is Miles Garrett. I mean, I think. Well, that's a
Ahead
debate.
of
I
Vaughn?
say that.
And
I
Mike
say-
Evans?
I know that's a good debate.
That's why you can't go in order.
Yeah, but that's why you have. That's what makes it hard.
No, that's
I think that like those three, right? Those are the ones, and quite honestly, all three of them are Hall of Famers. So
Yep.
Which
they
is
each
wild.
they
by the
each
way.
have great stories. Miles is what 10 or 11 sack season from tying Lawrence Taylor, right? Something like that. And then Mike Evans, some 1,000 yards from tying Jerry Rice, right?
He might have broke that one.
Yeah, he
Jerry
broke,
Vaughn,
he broke that.
defensive-
that one.
Oh, he already broke it.
Yeah.
All right.
Or no, he broke the Randy Moss one.
There's some level of 1,000-yard years to start a career. or
So-
whatever. So those three for sure have.
So my go number one, I go right now, as of today, my number one is Vaughn.
We're doing the last 25 years?
25 years. My number one is Vaughn because I think Mike will soon pass him. But Vaughn with 2 Super Bowls, and oh, by the way, the dude won a Super Bowl MVP. And he was a
Right.
key cog in 2 Super Bowl wins for 2 different franchises. The sack totals, and he is already, like, if he didn't play another down of football, he's gold jacket. Now, Mike is right here, and you mentioned the records, and I think Mike's got a handful of more really good years in him. And I think Mike is going to go up. If you look at Mike's numbers, if he plays 4 more years and like 2 at this rate and 2 at like 60% of that, he's going to be like the number 6, 7, 8 yardage receiver in the history of the NFL, plus a Super Bowl win. So I think Mike will eventually be there. And then Miles right now is 3 for me with the arrow doing that.
What about 4 and 5? It's your game, buddy.
Well,
you all help me out.
I'll help you out. Jake Matthews, the left tackle,
Another teammate of his.
is he's up there on that list for sure. I mean, anytime
be
when you're
one
one
of
of the better and one of the highest paid left tackles in the league, you're doing something. So that's
He'll
on
be
that
at
list.
minimum
for
a
sure.
Ring of Honor guy in Atlanta.
Yeah.
I think at minimum.
Then who we going with 5? Dante Hall?
See, I didn't know if you'd say that one.
That's
So we
a
got
good
your
one.
teammate. Do you have a teammate in this thing yet? Miles? Did you play with Miles?
I play with Miles. You can't leave out. I don't want to say he's top 5, but you can't leave out Kirk or Eric McCoy.
Christian
No,
Kirk.
yeah, Eric McCoy's done great.
But we leaving both of them out of the top 5.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying they are out of the top
discussion.
5, but they are in the discussion of
But
top
they've
10.
done
Yeah,
great.
they're
We
top
top
players.
10.
They're great players. Yeah.
But Dante, just this year, they Ring of Honor in Kansas City. One of the greatest players ever in a franchise.
X Factor, man.
Probably behind Devin Hester, maybe all-time punt and kick returner.
Maybe behind Devin and Dion.
Dion too, yeah. But Dion, most of his returns, if you go look, were interception returns.
Well, he had a lot of punt returns as well.
Punt too, yeah. And
He had the record for punt returns till Devin
was
Hester
the
broke it.
best. Yeah, he was like the best, but didn't do it as much as those guys. He wasn't a specialist. But yeah, Dante. There's somebody y'all are leaving out. Yeah.
Shane Leckler.
See, exactly. That's the disrespect that a punter gets.
Shane's great. He's great.
I'd
To be
almost
quite
say
honest.
you'd probably put Shane.
If you're-
you might put him fourth.
Yeah.
If you're
How many years?
best
20
ever
years?
at what he did.
to be, yeah, I was about to say, if you're talking about, forget notoriety
As
or
long as
whatever,
we're
talk
calling
about the
punting
best
football.
at doing what you're doing. Yes, Shane would be number one. If you're talking about the best to ever do what you do, Shane
He's the
would be
best
one.
punter ever.
Yeah, he's
Shane
better
Leckler?
than Ray Guy, who's the only one in the Hall of Fame. And he's better in every metric. And was on 2 all-decade teams in the NFL. 2 first-team all. Like
He's in that top 5.
it's
He is.
yeah.
He's in that top
Yeah,
5.
no one wants to talk about a punter.
I
Sorry,
think Jake
Shane.
is, somebody will tell us someone we're missing, but I think that's a real solid top 5.
Nah,
Who do you say?
the Bennett's.
No,
Michael
and they're
Bennett,
really
yeah.
good.
They're really good, yeah, but
They
they're
were
not top
really
5.
good, but they're not top 5. I think
If we're talking about punters, where are you putting Braden Mann?
Not
nowhere.
close to Shane Leckler. Not
Oh,
even
no.
close to Shane
No.
Leckler.
He's up
but
here.
not in the
He's up
top.
here.
I mean, Braden was great. Braden might be one of the best 2-3 at A&M.
Hold on, time out though. Hey, real
better than
quick,
Drew
going back.
Kaiser?
I think so.
Going
think
back
so.
to current state of affairs, we have a great punter, so that was good to see.
Hey,
That matters.
It
It
does
did matter.
That matters.
He could have won the game for you at that
Yeah,
point.
that was very.
60
Speaking of
something
Shane
yards.
Leckler, I made that comment. I was like, man, that's some Shane Leckler stuff.
That was
going
like
on right there.
last drive, pin him deep, and he hit what was
Yeah.
it, 56 or 61 yards?
61, I thought.
And then your kicker made 2 high pressure field
Yeah,
goals.
that was good.
One of them was what?
Hey, you know
50,
what?
49?
Take that to Jim Stark, thinking he was going to jinx our specialty.
So I mean,
Stark.
all right. Well, we'll do this more. I want to talk more. Okay, last thing because I want to do this more. Who is the highest NIL? You're kind of out of this one. You can say who's number 3 on your team. Who is the highest NIL earner on your team your senior year? If NIL was a thing back when you played. We'll start with you because your senior. Okay, so it wasn't Johnny.
Yeah,
It wasn't Mike. Who's third?
It was Johnny or Mike.
And who's Still
After
tough,
those
by the way.
guys, to be honest,
Shut up out there.
hey, but he took
right.
the words out of my mouth.
He's
He
done
took the
it
words out of my
twice.
mouth.
He's ruined the show.
He took the words out of my mouth. So to be
Is that
absolutely
Zane
honest,
or who is that? It's got to be Zane.
he said it right before I said great white man. Swope,
He's not wrong.
Yeah.
He's not
Swope
wrong.
is oh my goodness. Like,
and Jokel and Jake, but Swope was a receiver. He's more marketable.
no, Swope was more marketable than everybody back then.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for Johnny winning the Heisman and Mike just being just Mike, Swope, man, he was just quick, fast, built like a running back, smooth
That
with it,
matters.
great hands.
He would never do it, but imagine if Swope said, "Hey, I'm getting offered a bunch by Nick Saban in Alabama." So
He wouldn't do it.
he would never.
Swope's
but they
tough
would
as
have
nails.
paid him so much to keep him.
I think Swope would have got more endorsements than anybody else on our
Yeah.
team, and I think it would have kind of been a landslide until Johnny won the Heisman.
Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, because you're right. Your senior year,
Yeah,
Johnny
as the
wasn't
year
playing
goes,
with that. That's a
yeah.
good point. Seth.
Oh, man, that's a good question. Maybe Ty. He was a junior. I know in my junior year would have been Robert Ferguson, trying to keep him around for his senior
Better
year.
question for you because y'all won the Big 12. Who would have been your freshman year? Some characters. You had Dante.
Dad.
It would have been Datwin.
Oh, for sure. Dad would have.
You had Dan.
He'd have been
Dante.
up there with like the career earnings of Johnny. The way Dad was.
That would have clean. Now yours, I have no idea.
I have no
you were a
idea.
junior, so your year who? it Kellen? Well, by the way, I saw Kellen. He's always great to see, and I think people now are getting a better appreciation for.
Every year they're going to get a better appreciation.
First of all, Kellen's a first class dude, but Kellen, his senior year, they won the Orange Bowl, finished top 5, and he was 21 touchdowns, 3 picks, and that dude in 4 years never got hurt, never missed a game, and since then it's like no one's.
Oh, wait a minute. He did screw us over one time.
The cramp against Clemson.
The cramp.
And then we fumbled the next.
That was.
That's a good point.
He cramped up, and the next guy.
Kellen,
the very next play.
Way to go, Kellen. Missed one play.
Just saying.
Who's your guy then? Who is it? It's not him.
A-Chain? No, he wasn't even here. It was Ananias.
Probably Ananias or Spiller, but I think Kellen as a QB.
Yeah. Now, my freshman year, that would be tough. You had Miles, Josh Reynolds, Trevor Knight.
Miles.
It was Miles.
Trevor would have made a lot transferring from Oklahoma.
Yeah, right.
We were desperate for a quarterback. He's All-American, smile. Like Trevor would have made it.
Trevor would have made it close.
But it would have been Miles. Could you imagine what Myles Garrett, like in 2 days college football, like he finishes his freshman season, what people are doing coming to him.
Yeah.
Like from around the country, every Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, Sark, everybody's looking at him going, God, could you imagine if you just took that dude and put him on our defense? And the money would have just gone. We always talk about Johnny. Man, Miles would have commanded a lot of money.
Lots of money.
All right, well, McNeese this week. Last thing, what do you need to see? Obviously.
I'll be real brief with it. I want to see Connor be more confident and poised in the pocket. If he does that, we'll win the game, but I think that gives fans, coaches, his teammates a lot of hope for the games that are coming up.
I want to see our offense clicking, putting together first downs, touchdown drives, and I want to see our defense be consistent and to start to make those explosive plays. Really excited to see 25 back.
Yeah, me too. Here's what I want to see. I want to see some more QB run game. I don't care how I see it. I want to see a little bit of it. And more number 2, Terry Bussey. And then I want to see, you mentioned it at the very beginning of this thing, I want to see the defense getting the mentality of forcing turnovers. Sacks, drive-killing plays, but most notably, I want to see us force at least a couple of takeaways.
I want to see the defense turn it up just a little bit more, be more aggressive. Offensively, I just want us to find who we are. What are we going to be this year? Are we going to pass it? Are we going to run it? What?
All right. That was fun. Seth's got to go home. He already ate dinner. Sean's got to drive. He's got to go coach.
Coach?
By the way,
no.
Kendrick's got his 3-week-old baby out there. So congrats.
Appreciate it.
Beckham. So he's got to be an athlete. That's your
no
dad,
choice.
and you named him Beckham. You kind of gave him no choice. I like where your head was at there. All right. Guys, we'll do it again next week. It's the LiucciCast with Sean Porter.